Oh, it's okay, I can start. It didn't say recording started. It doesn't blink. But you can just do like as if it's Zoom, then if nobody...
It's okay.
It's okay? And if it's not recorded, it's not recorded. Also, there is so many things on this topic because, I'm very bad at preparing. So last night I was alone at home and I thought, oh, I can prepare it like poof. I didn't really. So then I thought, okay, then I started panicking. And then I started to look in the internet, You'd be surprised how many teachings on jealousy are in the internet. I mean, numerous, and I said, no, I'm not even going to start to look at them. But anyway, so it looks as if, everybody can relate to that. Maybe arrogance, not so much, because it feels good, right? Self-confidence, full of ourselves, better than others and all this. But jealousy is always a very unpleasant feeling, and it totally destroys the joy that we want to have in our life, right? So this is why I chose. Anyway, I chose these two topics because I still owe it to the Dharma friends, right? I like, Tommy is waiting for it. So I thought, okay, I can't say, oh, we canceled it 2 or 3 years ago. Can't remember, 2 years ago when the war started, right? We had a whole series on, negative emotions and their antidotes. And these two would have been the last ones. But then the war started and then it was cancelled. And then we again tried to have it like last year, but then it was just after Iran had sent the whole night of bombs. And so then out of security for the people who come here, we said, okay, we cancel it. And I also said, I don't want to do it on Zoom because it would be nice to have some kind of sharing of what we do when it's happening to us. But when the group is so big, then it's kind of difficult to do that because there's another thing. I am old, so not only my memory goes, and I don't have access to all the information that I used to have access to, so I could just talk and it would just come. And it would flow, which was very pleasant. It's not anymore. If you're still young, it might happen to you also as you get older. It's okay, As I said, one can adjust. You don't have to put yourself under pressure. And even though, so many people tell me, yeah, but no, you're still good. You can do this, that. No, it's like, don't listen to them. Just listen to your own heart, which we don't do often enough, I think, also because we're so concerned about what other people think of us. Yeah, will they still like us? Then, of course, we see all the other people still, whatever you were doing, in your job or whatever, you're getting older and you see all the younger ones coming along and being better, and you hear people praising them and all that, and then it's very difficult to rejoice that somebody is replacing you than to just feel bad about it and trying to keep it up. Anyway, that's my point of view. Yours might be totally different. So for me, that is also okay. So, but the other thing also why it's difficult to have conversation with the group, because I don't hear well. And I was very happy. I had a hearing aid, which I thought doesn't work. And then I had vertigo, really bad. And so I had to go to one specialist to the other. I don't have it anymore. So not hearing, no problem. Having vertigo, huge problem. Really. For those people who have had it, I hear if somebody is here and they talk to me, especially Kfir, who has a very nice, clear, deep voice. So then it's okay. But because I don't hear your questions or your comments so much anymore, now it becomes kind of tiring, tedious. I will still come to Israel, most probably, but then we'll do Nunes and sadhana practices for those people who are happy to do that. We'll still offer that, and I will still see people privately if they want, because this I find is helpful. because I have them in front of me. I know they can tell me about their problems. Nobody's there to listen. And then maybe I'll be able to give you some advice, or sometimes just to listen is helpful. So, yeah, so this will be the future visits like that. But, talks like this, I'm here because I promised, and I'm Swiss. So I'm looking. Yeah, very much. This is how my generation, this is how we grew up. You promise something, you stick to it, otherwise you will feel bad to it. So it's quite a good thing. Okay, but let's start with the reflection, because very important. I am, even though jealousy and arrogance, I decided to call it arrogance and not pride. Although in the text, it's very often kind of translated as pride. And pride and arrogance for me is not exactly the same thing. So we'll look at this. We'll start doing that. So that has very much to do with our daily life now, right? Because we are plagued by these two emotions. And so we'll look at some antidotes. They're not from me, okay? They are coming. I have my computer with the notes, which are not from me. They're from somebody called Lundrup Tillman. Some people from Germany might know him. He used to be a monk many, many years in the Carthian tradition. Then he is a psychiatrist, doctor, becoming a monk, but giving back his vows after real long retreats and coming out to help, especially young people who have problems. And he wrote this book, which is called Buddhist Psychology. Unfortunately, it's not translated into English. At least I haven't found it anywhere. But I found it really, it's Buddhism, but really put into words which are secular in a way. So I cannot do that really, so I'll be just reading it. So then you're sure to get the right thing. And the Google translated it into, like, from the German texts into English. So I think what we will be looking at will be more or less like what we do in daily life, but now we kind of reflect a bit on the motivation, why we are here. And I'll become the Buddhist, which will try to make that motivation a bit more far-reaching. Okay? Okay. And how to produce some joy, even though situation maybe outside is not so good for you people here in this country. Okay, so you try to sit with a straight back if possible, but still comfortable. And connect with your body. That's always the first thing that you do, to come into the present, because the body is always in the present, cannot be in the future, cannot be in the past. And most of our worries and thoughts and not so skillful emotions come because we kind of regret something from the past, or we're longing for something from the past, or we kind of stress about the future. Now, don't think about the future of this country. It's like whatever you as an individual think of it, you cannot change anything. It just makes you sad, worried, angry. And I know, if I say that, you might find me heartless, because, of course, I'm not Israeli. I am not Jewish, so I don't understand. I do understand that I don't understand, even though I've been coming here 25 years. And it's true, I don't understand what it means. I'm just telling you, try to let go of the future. Whether you worry about it or not, it will happen according to your karma. That's sometimes painful to hear. And we can always change perspective. But unfortunately, the mind has a tendency to go into the negative side, the difficult side, the black side. unfortunately. And then, of course, we worry. But just be with your body. That body that still works. You could come here. You can walk. You can talk. You can breathe. You need a chair or you need a cushion. There's some chairs over there, so just walk through. That's fine. So don't worry. Let your mind not go into the person is late. Why is the person late? It's none of your concern. The person just came later, which makes a big difference. Being late and coming later is not the same thing. Produces different emotions. So that's why we practice, meditate, look at our own mind. To understand my emotions are depending on the thoughts I have. Emotions we cannot change. But the thoughts, the perspective, we can change. So then the motivation for being here, exactly as I said, can be for your daily life, for your own happiness, but then it becomes very, very small. So if it's just for this life, then at least think, well, if I'm free of arrogance and free of jealousy, maybe it will have some benefit for others also. So try to at least have that motivation. And see if something changes in your mind, if it expands. You know, when we're just concerned about ourselves, very small. Problems very big. And there also, you can go in steps. You see, Buddhism is very skillful. They don't throw it at you at the beginning, saying you have to be concerned about the happiness of all beings. In a very skillful way, we go in steps. First, the people that we naturally love, that we can think by working with I can call them negative emotions, pleasures, may be of benefit to the people that I love. Not because you're afraid that they won't love you anymore, but because you don't want to hurt them. Because they allow you to love them. Feeling love for somebody which is not too attached. It's the most soothing and joyful emotion that you can imagine. It really opens the heart. So somebody else came later. It's okay, it's none of your concern. So then once we make the experience how it feels to have an open heart, to really wish well for others, for the ones that we have decided that we will love them, it comes very naturally. Then when we feel it, then just be with it. Then when we have understood that on an experiential level, like not intellectually, not in the head, understanding it in the head is a good thing, it's the first step, but that doesn't change much. So when we have understood how good it is for us to have an open heart, Then we slowly expand it to the people that are not so close, where it doesn't come naturally. People we might know their name, their face, people from the neighborhood, in the shop, where we do the shopping. And we also start developing kind thoughts towards them. And this time, not just because it's good for me, but because what they do for me. Becoming aware how dependent we are on others to have the life we have. We usually forget because it's my coffee, it's my car, it's my apartment, it's my this, my that. But so many people have to do their job properly so you can enjoy every second of your life. All the necessities that we need and all the comfort and pleasures that we have. So just thinking about that, gratitude arises, another heart-opening emotion, mental factor, gratitude. So fortunate. And we have to think, all these people do these difficult jobs for very little money, which I wouldn't do. Cleaning, working in the supermarket, working in the fields, cleaning away garbage. Imagine they would all have the position that we have, that amount of money that we have. Nobody would do these jobs. I don't want to make you feel guilty, okay? Don't go into that Israeli Jewish extreme. Just be grateful. And then when we have understood that we can even have an open heart for strangers, then, only then, we start to jump to those that we dislike. And then you do that, when you're ready for relief. So that's kind of recognizing that negative emotions make me suffer in the present. It will create karma, like karmic imprints, potentials, seeds that will ripen as either the same thing happening to me, that's not so bad, but me repeating this kind of action. That's the danger about karmic potentials, that we repeat the action. That's the danger about the negative ones. It's the good thing about the positive ones. And so it will create, if it's negative ones, all the suffering in the future. Me repeating the action or the same thing happening to us. So we can keep that as a motivation. It is good for me to be ethical, to be non-harming, to have some amount of kindness, gratitude. Then you will have a good life. Life after life after life. You're born in Switzerland. You have enough money to pay all these expensive things. You can go skiing, do lots of sports. Be happy when the sun is shining, and still have problems with your neighbors. And that's what called samsara. So if you practice ethical conduct, it will definitely be very good for the world. because it will create less anger in the people that we hurt or harm or cheat or whatever, which will give them a chance to be more peaceful and to be more open-hearted. We will be born in beautiful places. It's still samsara, it's still dissatisfying. We still have to leave everything behind at the time of death and start afresh. So like the next step, when we look at our motivation, like why we do things in an honest way, the first step is always, it has to be good for myself. It's natural, it's normal. The next step is then it's also good for others. But just ethical conduct is still samsara. So the next step will be, I don't want to be under the control of these karmic potentials and emotions that make me reborn again and again and again and again. We really have to be fed up, even if samsara is incredibly good, and that's difficult. So when samsara starts to get suffering, pain, then renunciation comes. But then it's difficult to practice when you're not well. So then, the being fed up, to be reborn again and again and again, we have to look, okay, why am I reborn again and again and again? It's because we don't understand reality, the two levels of reality. Conventional, dependent arising, ultimate, everything is empty of inherent existence. And not understanding that makes us cling to an I, to a me, that seems to be existing independently from its own side. And we identify with a lot of things to reaffirm that feeling of I. So we work with trying to understand this. So we have to have a mind that can concentrate, mental quietude or stillness or shamatha. And even that is not enough. Makes us feel very peaceful, very open. But then we have to combine it with wisdom to understand that my mind projects things that seem to be real, but it's not true. So then when we start to learn about this, hear about this, we start to doubt our perceptions. And the motivation is still just for me to not to be reborn again and again and again. Which is not bad, it's a good thing, because then the world is kind of liberated, free of one person. Already good. But then to expand that a little bit, because it makes it more, it makes it more alive, it makes it more joyful, it makes it more connected, makes it more spacious. We can think, why only me? How about if I had the ability, the skillful means to inspire people, like the Dalai Lama is inspiring thousands of people just by being present, because of the power of his mind, his compassion, his wisdom. How about I would become like a fully awakened being, to guide and lead, to have the skills, the wisdom and compassion to lead all beings to that state. So now you have the choice. I will leave you for 5 minutes. You have the choice to see what is my motivation for being here. And motivation, we can always work with it. We have to work with it. Manipulate it. What's best for me, not bad, but make sure that some wisdom is there. But we can add just one sentence, very simple, for the benefit of others. By my presence, may I be able to put people at ease. How does that feel? So you check. Because whatever we motivate for, it will bring us there. Then we bring the mind back a little bit, like with awareness, because it's only with awareness that we start to recognize what's going on in the mind. So then next maybe 2 minutes, just watch. Let the mind totally free. Look where it goes. Usually in the future, doesn't it, making plans? And then just bring it back to the present. Can either be your breath or just body awareness, just feeling yourself sitting on the cushion or on the chair. And then just enjoy these short moments of freedom from worry, fear, regret, and all these kind of things. It's very difficult. It's very simple, but it's very difficult. We're so used, so attached almost. We think about the future, thinking that we have control, if we plan. And I'm saying we because I include myself. The only happiness that we can find is in the present. Hope and fear, I'm not saying you shouldn't be hoping for anything or shouldn't be afraid of anything. I'm not saying that. But hoping for something doesn't make things happen. We have to create the cause. And being afraid of something also doesn't kind of keep unpleasant things away. We have to either purify the potential or creating the causes for it not to happen. these two emotions seem to be the engine that keep us going. So look, what's present now? What kind of hope? What kind of fear? And then just let it be. Don't touch it. It will show its nature of impermanence. Don't go against it. Just recognize it. Okay, then you can relax and then you can feel the relief of having to sit still and having to look at your own mind. Open fear and wanting to be in control. I tell you what happened to me this morning. I usually listen to the Swiss radio, the news at like 5 o'clock in the morning. And so they said something about airplanes that cannot fly because, no, some people not. You also heard the news. I'm flying on Monday morning. So it's Airbus 320 that they have to be updated something because otherwise they don't function when the sun is shining. So what do you think I did? I'm flying El Al. So Google El Al. What kind of airplanes do they have? Boeing. Oof. So this is it. This is kind of as if the Boeing doesn't fall down, as if the Boeing is flying all the time. Totally really. It's so unrealistic. But at least I see it. And at least I can tell you, I don't feel ashamed about kind of, functioning that way. Because the only thing I think that, for me, the only thing that I have a good antidote for these kind of things is I share them with others. I'm open. I don't hide. It's the only thing I can do. Of course, when we have jealousy, we can try to apply rejoicing. For me, it doesn't work. But when especially these two things, arrogance and jealousy, we're quite capable of saying, oh, wow, I was really angry and this and that. This we're able to admit, isn't it? Have you ever confessed to somebody that you're jealous? Like really? Like you confessed that you were angry? Do you ever say, oh gosh, I'm so bloody arrogant? Do you ever share that with your friends? Some people not. I go and ask your friends. I'm not so sure, but yeah, it's possible. Yeah, and this is what really helps. Yeah. So taking refuge now in Lundrup Tilman is where do our negative emotions come from? Do you know? The Buddhists should know. Who do we have to blame? What do we have to blame? Question to you guys.
Ignorance.
Yeah, that's very wide. People, I don't know the capital of what, so that's also
self-cherishing.
Huh?
Oh, self-cherishing.
Cherishing, yeah, that's too precise. Okay. Ignorance, yeah, like sometimes it's called lack of awareness, which I really like. Lack of awareness of what is there, lack of awareness of how things really exist. So the Buddha is telling us we have 4 huge misconceptions. So some of you might have heard it, yeah? 4 misconceptions that we, even though intellectually we know, but instinctively the way we see things, we react differently. So very simple. We see things that are by nature impermanent. We see them as permanent. And then we're disappointed when things break or when they go out of existence or when somebody dies. I mean, this I can tell you because you have no clue who that is. I got a message from somebody, she says, oh, the friend of my mother died. She's 95. They were about to amputate her legs because she was so sick. And then she died before the amputation. And the person says, my mom is devastated. The person's children are devastated. Her husband is dead. And I thought that, how can you not be happy that this person was able to go before she had to go through the suffering of the operations? Again, I see many people know. Why am I able to say these things? Because I didn't know the person. I was not attached to the person. The person didn't do anything for me. I only had her name on the dedication list. That was all. This is why I can see clearly, but it's a good thing that she was able to die. If it would have been my mom, my partner, my child, whatever, I would have reacted differently. Then we cling so much to that permanence. They, my friends, they should not die. And there seems to be something terrible. When my mom died, because I wasn't attached to her, I was happy that she was able to go the way she wanted to go, because she would have also needed colostomy and all these kind of things, you know, and she didn't want that. So she died before this happened. And so I was very happy. My dad also wanted to die because he had water in his lungs. And, you know, winter in Switzerland, very difficult with the fog and the cold and all this. He couldn't lie down anymore. And when he said, I want to die, I did say, yes, it's okay, because he was still alive, of course. And, you know, deep down, I was sure, well, he's not going to die. Deep down, instinctively. But I said, yeah, it's okay. Then he said, but, you know, I really mean it. And I said, yeah, me also. You know, I went back to India. I knew I wouldn't see my father alive again. I knew it. Here. When the fax came, because there was no WhatsApp and the internet in that time, when the fax came, I was devastated. I was not able to think, oh, wow, good thing it was November. Good thing he was able to die before the winter. No, I was, wow, I broke down into tears because he was my hero. I mean, how can he leave me? He wasn't even my partner, he was my dad. And so, because people are not used to see me like this, you know, crying and not being able to say my dad has died. Now I think it's really funny, but at that time there was a lot of suffering. And so people wanted to comfort me. It has nothing to do with arrogance and jealousy. Where am I going now? See, this is what I'm saying. Like, so anyway, but it might be helpful. So Josh, some of you know, he said, well, he was old. Yes, it's true, he was old. And you know, everything is impermanent. I got so angry at him for giving me these Buddhist tools to not be devastated. So please don't. When you see that somebody is devastated because somebody has died, no matter how old they were, if they have to cut their legs or whatever, and just say, yes, I understand it's painful. Because don't add. I was just about to add, because yes, it's painful because you were attached to it. Don't add that. You know, sometimes it's good to hold our Buddhist wisdom when you see it's not going to help, okay? And this is why the Buddhist wisdom, we have to study it and practice it and sit on it and meditate on it before the situation comes where then it doesn't work anymore, because it's not deep enough. It's only in the head. But anyway, so what I did, because I didn't want people comforting me, I thought I have a right to feel that pain. Yes, I was attached to my dad, and yes, he wanted to die, but now I still feel I have lost my dad. So I shut myself off into retreat. I didn't want to see people who wanted to help me. This is also, you know, some people have made the experience, if I'm not well and you want to help me, don't. You'll get it. It's like I can be really, really unpleasant. You know, like I told you the story in Switzerland, like the train did not work, and then this Sri Lankan guy was there. So I said, okay, let's try to find a taxi, 5 o'clock in the morning, Sunday. And, you know, then all of a sudden he noticed I was a nun. I was trying to find a taxi on the internet because I never take taxis. I don't know how that works. And so he was going like, oh, you're a Buddhist nun. Where is your temple? And this and that. I was totally stressed. I knew I was going to miss the plane if I don't get to that other train station. And I was so unpleasant to him. Although he was carrying my suitcase, putting in the car that we finally found. And then I felt ashamed. But this is it. When you feel that somebody's stressed, don't try to help them. Just shut up. You know? Especially if it's me. Because I know I can become very unpleasant. I don't want to be unpleasant. It's total habit. And then sometimes I'm really able to apologize, which I did to him afterwards. Sometimes there's no more opportunity. So anyway, so I shut myself off into retreat. And because I was already experienced in meditation, I practiced maybe 5-6 years, I was able to hold the pain. I was able to endure it alone. Yeah, I knew that it's not permanent. I just let it come. I just let it be there. And then it would come in waves like that. After a month and a half, it was gone. I'm able to talk about my dad without any pain, just with gratitude since then. That's a great gift. And where's the gift come from? From meditation, from hearing death is normal. Everything is impermanent. When you're old, you go, you know, people die and all this. It didn't work at the moment because the pain was too strong. But because I've heard it before, I could remember it. Like the seeds had been planted. And then so like this. So as Pia says, self-cherishing is creating all the negative emotions. So I will read from Lundrup Tillman. If the reading gets too much also, I don't like it. You know, people tell me, but you can make notes, you know, just words kind of things. And then when you talk, but you see, the thing is, I cannot work like that. If I talk, and I would look now at what's written here it stops. I admire those people. I'm not jealous, but I truly admire these people who can talk and read notes at the same time. This is amazing, you know. I'm not jealous. Why? Because I know that I can't do it and it's okay. So this is why I said the teachings, like before it was okay because I did have access to 35, 40 years of listening to teachings and still now listening to, no, it's gone. It's like, sometimes it comes, sometimes it doesn't. It's stressful, you know, not knowing whether it will come or not. So like that. Okay. So lacking awareness is a veil that prevents direct and immediate experience. So we're not talking about jealousy and arrogance yet. We'll come to that, don't worry, hopefully. Sometimes not even sure. You see, I'm totally heartless. I don't care. If we don't get it, we don't get it. Your own fault, you know. I keep warning people. So it's okay. And then they think I'm putting up a show. I am not putting up a show. Okay, see, now I already lost the line. Okay, so this lacking awareness, what with the direct experience, it relates to two things. And this is the root of all our other negative emotions. And then why I chose also jealousy and arrogance, because we never talk about it. Most of the courses are anger, desire, attachment, ignorance, wrong views, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So it relates to two things: not to be aware of the real existence of phenomena, which is what? One word. Emptiness. Yes. It's a very good word, I tell you. It fits to almost when the teacher asks questions. So that's the most difficult awareness, that we can only have a direct experience if we have a mind that can stay still on its object. Can be anything. you know, as you said, nature of the mind, or an image, or a thought, or whatever. But the mind needs to be able to be still, not to lose the object without having to like that. But first you have to, you know, shamatha, you train, you have to hold the object. You cannot be relaxed at the beginning of shamatha meditation. And then slowly, slowly you can relax. So that's one side. That's the most difficult one. The other one is a little bit easier, but if you don't understand emptiness, also understanding pendant relationship is very difficult. So not to be aware how these phenomena manifest on a relative level. Because when people hear emptiness, they think, okay, nothing exists, so therefore I can do whatever I want. If nothing exists, you cannot do whatever you want because you would not exist. The first time I say that, but it's true when people say it's the best argument. People say, oh, emptiness and nothing exists. So how can nothing exist if you're sitting there and think, right? So a correct awareness realizes the real existence as dynamic, not graspable, no substance, and without essence. And this is why things can manifest as a dependent arising in a distinctive way. These two aspects of reality are inseparably connected to each other. Emptiness and dependent arising. You cannot say, okay, I move conventional reality, I leave it behind, I go into emptiness, goodbye. It's not possible. You need both things for things to exist, right? And it's not very often, sometimes we think, or very often people say, oh, things do exist even though they're empty. No, it's not like that. That is really wrong view. It's because things are empty, they do exist. If they would not be empty of inherent existence, they could not exist. They would have to be themselves all the time. They could not change. You know, I was in the Cinematheque, it was like I was there, and I didn't want to go on with that discussion because I thought there's no end to it. When I said, I pointed to the table, you were there also, table. So I said, what is it in Hebrew? And he said the word in Hebrew, and I said, is it the same? He said, yes. How can we, if you use two totally different labels, how can it be the same? But in the unaware mind, if you never heard it, of course it's the same. But look, I see the table. But you're not seeing table, you're seeing parts of table. But this is this non-dynamic, stable, static kind of existence that our deluded mind creates. Then of course we grasp at it. So that's not seeing things that by nature are impermanent to seeing them as permanent. Another mistake that we are making, mistaking pleasures for well-being, and I don't like the word happiness. Do we have a better word for that? Being at ease, you know, I really started to exchange the word happiness for being at ease, open, spacious, being close to the nature of what we really are, being spacious, being relaxed, being happy. So, but we mistake pleasant moments for happiness. This is why we run after them. Good tastes, good, whatever you think is good, you know. And with the practice, I have to warn you, with the practice, you are not so attached anymore to these wonderful, beautiful things that come from all these shops in Schenken and Tirol and, you know, these places. You will like whatever is put in front of you. And people think that, oh, you're so boring. For me, it doesn't matter what it is. I feel pleasure in whatever I need. And this is part of the Buddhist practice, that you train the mind to see the pleasure is not coming from the object. The pleasure is coming from a positive karmic imprint ripening. That's why if you continue to buy the same sandwich in the same shop every day, you get bored with it. We are always running after the feeling, the sensation of experiencing something for the first moment. Why is that moment so pleasant? because we have nothing to compare it with. Then we're looking for that same moment again, but we have the first moment to compare it with. It's never the same. So stop, it's not working. Reproducing the first moment is not working. So that's another thing, like we mistake pleasure for happiness. Of course, it gives you a short moment of, wow, this is so good. Again, you know what we did in the motivation? If you can expand it to think, somebody created that sandwich. Somebody thought very hard how to produce a pleasant feeling in me, made that person be happy, made that person be blah, 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 like all this. Then it becomes pure pleasure because you have gratitude. And understanding that the pleasant moment comes not because of many, many, many conditions. It's not just the positive imprint in your mind that kind of ripens. It's also your present condition. If you're sick, the most beautiful cake, whatever, is not going to produce any pleasure. I see many people nodding. Then please, why do you bring these expensive things to people in the hospital? Bring it to them when they're not sick. Because they will give it to the nurses. Because they feel like, oh. Especially if they have to take morphine or whatever, that makes you nauseous. I had to take morphine with the knee operation. I don't tolerate it. I vomited. I would say, people brought me these chocolates and this and that. The nurses were very happy. Okay, bring yourself and just go and be there and say, look, I will bring you something very delicious once you have recovered. We go and have lunch together, something like that. And much more skillful. Yeah, we have the need to bring something, isn't it? Thinking that it will make the person happy. It's another thing. We want to be loved. We want to be accepted. We buy people's love. I do. I bring chocolate from Switzerland. You only get it if you're very special. Or if you are the manager of a course. Yeah. Now, since I'm not going to give courses anymore, I have to bring much less jackets. So like that. But this is, it has become a habit also. Like I would feel terrible not to bring anything. Ego, I, me, want to be recognized. This goes into this whole thing, lack of awareness. Then I only had two, of the misconceptions. Another one is that we mistake things that are by nature impure, we mistake them as pure, and then we get totally attached to it. What? Oof, this is painful. If you never heard it, it's your body. If the body of somebody else, the body of somebody I dislike, I see the impurity very quickly. I don't even have to think about it. Like, don't come near me, right? If it's my own body smell, my own body fat, the wrinkles don't hurt, that's okay. So these things, then I'm not so disturbed by it, isn't it? And we get attached to it. You see, if in Copan, like 35, 40 years ago, whenever the November course started, how many of you have been to Copan? Oh, nice, many. So can you imagine, many people there, right? Many monks, many people. So the water has to come from below, doesn't come from the hill. So it came up 40 years ago with a pump. Second day, the pump broke down because they needed so much water. Couldn't flush the toilets anymore, could not shower. Then you could smell the impurity of the body. I don't know if anybody has been there when it happened. Probably not, because now they have much better technical equipment, so we cannot experience anymore directly the impurity of the body. So that's that thing. And then the biggest one, and that's the most difficult to understand, we project an essence or a reality, a real thing, real I, real me, where there is no I, or real essence. Essence means something that exists without needing anything else. That's the biggest misconception. So the first two ones, I think we can understand. The third one, the body, yeah, we just don't wash and don't give it any care. Then or get old, there's enough. You can still wash and give it care when you're old. It still smells, it still does this and that. So like this, but then that there is no real I, no real me as a third entity to body and mind. That's easy to understand. Again, it doesn't take so long to understand it. You hear it maybe 20 times and then you think, okay, now I get it. Something manifests that I can feel and hear, but it does not exist the way that it manifests. So we understand intellectually. We still behave as if it exists. Our behavior my behavior doesn't change much. Okay. So ignorance or this lacking awareness also means to hold the I for real. Me, yeah, I, me, mine. Like this, also the other is taken as real. So this is what sometimes we hear the problem is dualistic thinking. Dualistic thinking, meaning, I'm not saying that I'm fear and is me, but there's a real I, me, Losang, or like 20 years ago, Rita, whatever, sitting here and the real others out there. Then it creates that split. We don't see the connectedness. Connectedness sometimes we see when they do something for us or when they hurt us, then they become more kind of, we see that they more. But otherwise, it's like people we don't know is lumps of flesh with, 4 things sticking out, 2 legs, 2 arms. We don't care about them. That's about it. This is this dualistic thinking. The evil sometimes in the texts. I think in Lama in Vajrasattva Zogelbring, then it says the demon of this mind holding on to a real I. This is the only enemy we have, believe it or not. You have a conventional I, for those people who hear it for the first time. Yeah, don't freak out. Who am I? What am I? You're definitely not what you think you are. Because maybe I should give you the good news. By nature, we're pure. But it's very, very hidden through this lack of awareness. And all the problems we have, not the prime minister, not government, not people from other religions or other views or other opinions, is the thing that is creating the problem, is this holding, grasping onto an I, because it creates that duality. And it makes us do actions where negative emotions are behind. So that's the only enemy we have. Sometimes they say we have 2, and you can have to, maybe the prime minister is. It's not. It's, the kind of the how to say, the grasping at a real I. This you can weaken it with studying emptiness. Yeah, like ultimate truth. Then the cherishing of the real I, holding it more important than others, maybe not the ones you love. You're not total monsters. You have people in your life that you can put their happiness before you. Your children, your grandchildren, your grandchildren, of course, they become very important, but because it's your grandchild, not because it's a child. Has nothing to do with that, like we need to be honest and see how biased we are. How did I get there? Connectedness. So then the self-cherishing, how we weaken that one is by practicing bodhicitta, the 6 perfections, especially the first, how many? 4. 4. 3. Yeah, morality, ethical conduct, patience, and generosity. Generosity comes first. Even that's wow. I can't even have that order anymore. Okay, but I got it together. Sometimes I don't even get it together. Because I don't use it also. That's another thing, stop teaching, you don't use it, and like poof, it goes. So that is that by practicing this, you can practice the 6 perfections for yourself. That's fine. By thinking, by practicing the 6 perfections, I will attain full awakening. Without practicing them, you're not being, you're not becoming a Buddha. And then the gratitude. Thank you very much that you allow me to practice patience, generosity, and ethical conduct. For example, that means saying thank you to your enemy who harms you, or okay, let's not go there. It's very high. Not somebody who harms you. If you are ready to do that, then please do it after having followed many, many teachings on compassion. But let's say sometimes somebody who gets on my nerves. They don't really harm me, but they allow me to practice patience, to allow them to be the way they are. Even that is difficult, isn't it? It's the worst, actually. Because somebody who harms you, at least you have a good reason to hate that person, you think. Somebody who's just getting on your nerves, it's like they have so much power over you, and you cannot do anything. We talked about this in Niv's talk, and we burst out laughing how ridiculous we are. That somebody by just making can make you fly off the handle.
Yeah.
They have so much power over you. So you can take your arrogance by saying, I'm not going to give you that power anymore. Still doesn't work. This is so difficult. Yeah. Again, it comes from holding on to this person should stop their behavior, thinking that if they change their behavior, you will be happier. You won't be happier. Because if you're disturbed by the person by such little things, that poor person, they can do whatever they want. You will not be able to tolerate them. So can we approach that topic with humor? Because otherwise it becomes very moralistic, very heavy. I'm such a bad person. This person hasn't done anything to me, yet I'm grumpy, and yet I don't like them, yet I try to ignore them or, evade them or whatever. And finding methods to, humor is great. If you can laugh about it, then already the person is that presence of the person has less power. But it's terrible, isn't it? Somebody who was in that talk, she said, oh, I'm so happy to hear you talk about it. That means I'm normal. Because I also have it, not so strong anymore because I'm very lucky, I do know the impermanence of relationships because I move around a lot. Yeah. It's like here in Ronnie's house, it's the longest. And luckily, Ronnie, I don't have to tolerate her. She's easy. I don't want to say she's easy to tolerate. I don't need to tolerate her because I love her. And we get along really well, so we don't have problems. We know each other really well. But also, I have to say, Ronnie, each one has their life. We don't think we need to entertain each other and we need to be there for each other, If I need help, I ask her, she can give it, fine. If she needs help, she can ask me, fine. No, if it's no, it's no, and that's it. What do you think? Okay, like this? Yeah.
Never thought about it this way.
So like this. Yeah, so this is what I mean. I understand the impermanence of relationships. The other day I gave a talk and somebody says, yeah, it's very easy. No, I mean, with the tolerant is a very not nice word. I really don't like that when people say, oh, you have to be tolerant or I'm so tolerant. It's horrible. It means this is a horrible person, but I tolerate them. Hey, come on. This is not nice to be tolerant. I think everything I say is very personal. So please, if you don't agree with me, it's fine. So somebody said, well, to be able to be patient and open and forgiving, kind of these kind of habits, and it's very easy. It's very simple. when it's short-term relationship. And he said, long-term relationship is very difficult. And then something clicked in my head, because sometimes this is why I like to have these kind of exchanges, but it only works in small groups. So it was a small group of maybe 15 people. I said, how do you know it's a long-term relationship? Because whatever is past is past. You don't need to be tolerant about the past. How do you know that this relationship will last very long? And if the person dies and you have had a fight, you're left with that really terrible feeling. So if the person has died and you're left with that feeling, you cannot do anything about it anymore, except for thinking in the future, when the same kind of attitude towards a person comes up, I will be more careful. So I don't have to regret having been unpleasant to the person when the person dies. So that can be kind of an antidote by realizing how this kind of behavior, what it can do to me. Yeah. Because the person is dead. There's nothing you can do. I think it was Contra Rinpoche at one point. Somebody came and she said, the person has died, what can I do for them? And these Rinpoches, they know, I think, and you don't have to accept it, but I think they know more than just what is here. They know what has been before. So he looked, I was there, this is why I can repeat it. He looked at the person and said, oh, now it's too late. So, yeah, so that was kind of like that. Okay, so we have this dualistic split when we have this lacking awareness. So then we think me here with my disturbing emotions, different and separate from the other. This splitting into subject and object of the experience prevents liberation. That's kind of easy to understand, but then we still feel like that, isn't it? So this is the meaning of duality, the being separate of experiencer and experience. And there's a very, very, very good and very clear, very old teaching of Tetsuma Tenzin Palmo you can find on the internet. And I was there when she gave it. I'm even in the video. I'm still young. I look at me and go, whoo. Even then, I was not happy with how I looked. When I look at it now, I think, oh, there I was not. It's too late. It's too late to be happy about my appearance. Anyway, so she talks about the nature of the mind, how we make that dualistic split also between the knower and the knowing. So the people who have been in the Dharma, for instance, a long time, where we still used to show videos when we had long courses of 10 days, that was in the past, wasn't it? Here in Israel, we had 10-day courses in Bar, and then we used to show that video sometimes where she says, this is the mistake we make. We identify with that which is experienced instead of identifying with the knower, which is the clarity of our mind, the ability to know. So that's the big mistake we make. This is why we're having problems, because we don't know the nature of our mind. Yeah, so now I think it's also Taisito Rinpoche who will start a new course. But it's only for people who have done the first courses, or is that open for everybody?
Open for everybody.
Open for everybody. So important to hear this again and again and again and again. By nature, we're pure. Yeah, and then having a skillful Lama to guide you there, to the purity. How do they guide us there? By being the living example. Oh, now I start having tears. By being the living example of living that purity. Okay? So that's why they mirror purity. So now we start to believe ourselves, and then we start to look for it. And as Venerable Antonio said, he said, They say many things, but one of the things is that if you want to find gold, you have to dig a lot of earth. So if we want to find that purity of the mind, we have to transcend, we have to go into the dirt of our negative emotions. So if you just jump into the dirt of your negative emotions, you get depressed, you start to hate yourself, you start to, if you don't have any confidence that below all this is totally pure, you're not allowed to jump into your negative emotions. Otherwise, you need a very good psychiatrist who gives you uppers. I think they're called like this, isn't it? I don't know the names of these medicines. Or start to smoke dope or something. No, really, this is so important. This is the good thing about Buddhism. It's the first thing they tell you. There's nothing wrong with you. You just don't know it. So, the clinging to the separate I creates tension. All conflicts start from there. Because of lacking awareness, there's no wisdom that this I is in reality a dynamic process. I've been here, we've been here, some of you also, 2.5 months ago? Do you feel different from 2.5 months ago? Did you bring your eye to this talk now? Of course, we take it with us all the time. And when I say this, of course, people who don't look, they say, oh, of course I feel difference. Yeah, you feel difference as a person. But me, when you look in the mirror in the morning, it's the same. But it's a dynamic process. So your conventional I also ages as your body ages and your mind ages, but it doesn't feel like that. I think it's this morning also we said, wow, I've been coming here since 25 years. I still feel the same. The I, Of course, my brain is going, body, this, that, of course. But the feeling, the instinctive feeling of I, it's not intellectual. This you have to examine. This you have to really go deep into it, because otherwise, of course, I know I'm different. So the grasping on to this permanent, independent I, me, that is the problem. So externally, we do find an end of me and the beginning of other when we touch. I'm here and the other is there. But how is it in the mind? Where do I, when I look at fear, where does fear start really in the mind and where do I stop? Because I'm not him. So you see, these are questions that confuse me, maybe you also, but the confusion is really good because then we start to see. Yeah. So like that. So Descartes, he says, I think, therefore I am, but from the fact of thinking, we cannot deduct a real stable I. Thinking is dynamic and changes all the time. The question is, if there is somebody that thinks, thoughts are momentary movements of the mind, where are the thoughts of yesterday? Everything changes, nothing stays. Where can there be a stable I in this ever-changing process? Because we are sad, we are happy, we are afraid, we're courageous, we're open, we're closed. But the one who seems to have these emotions seems to be the same, if you really look. And that doesn't exist. There's just emotion. Yeah. So then also in meditation, if you're very good at meditating, or like if the mind becomes very still, or if you're good at sports, for example, or painting, dancing, playing music, whatever, your I totally disappears. There's no more separateness from me at talked about skiing this morning. When I used to ski, there's no separateness. Ski, snow, environment, me, this, that, everything flows. That's very pleasant. That's our natural state. But then the grasping. Oh, wow, I'm so good. Boom, finished. Isn't it? You lose the flow. Yeah. I is a useful concept in order to be able to communicate. Okay, so when you feel like self-importance, then you can talk to us. I say, hey, you're just a useful concept so I communicate with others. See how it says or what it says. Yeah, I think the first Buddhist book I read was Ayakima's Being Nobody, Going Nowhere. We have problems because we want to be special. But since everybody wants to be special, I tell you, it's really hard these days to be special. So be ordinary, then you become very special. Be happy by being ordinary. It's also this very nice story of Tsonsa Khyentse Rinpoche went to the hospital because one of his disciples was dying. And next to him was a truck driver also dying. And this one was very happy, very okay, calm, the truck driver. And so Rinpoche asked him, aren't you glad to die? He said, why? I'm not important. Somebody else can drive this truck. I don't have children. I'm not responsible for anybody. It's okay to die. You don't even need spiritual practice for that.
You need to be a truck driver.
You need to be a truck driver, as Shuki says, but not a special one.
Yeah.
A one that can be replaced. If you are, if we have this whole thing, I can be totally ordinary, kind of mixing into the crowd. That is so liberating. Having to prove that you are good and this and that. People have to agree with you. And then go and find these people who honestly, on top of it, agree with you, or they just agree with you because they don't want to argue, or this or that, or maybe they're depending on you, or they want something from you, or, because we ourselves, we don't believe it. We don't believe that being ordinary is a good thing. Or, I have to say this differently, we don't believe that being ordinary is liberating. We think that when the whole world sees how wonderful I am, then I will feel okay about myself. And it's not true. In the Cinematheque, I also said about when we said, if you have, because in Cinematheque was easy because there was the screen behind me, okay? So we mistake the picture on the screen, which is coming about through many, many different causes and conditions. We mistake it for being real. This is why emotionally sometimes we go along with it. But then if the picture is blurred, if we try to clean the screen, it won't work. We need to clean the lens where the picture is projected out. So that's what we need to do. We need to clean the mind. And I thought that people in Israel are really interested in cleaning their mind, which can be done. Now this is nasty. Which can be done through Buddhist, very traditional practices by, having somebody who is enlightened, which is a form of the Buddha. I know it's a problem for you because you're not allowed to visualize images. So then you have the light coming into you, flush out all that is kind of obscuring that lens and all this. So we offered a few times, like in Haifa, Medicine Buddha, here, a lot of people came. But I think they came because they wanted to say hello, to be honest. Because this has to be repeated. These purification practices, they have to be repeated again and again and again and again and again until the clarity becomes apparent. But the problem is they are religious, and I don't want to make them New Age, I'm sorry. I don't want to just a source of light. This for me personally becomes meaningless. So I do talk about that is how the Buddha looks, this, then the light comes. And what it does, it kind of cleans your mind and it washes away, it brings away these layers and layers and layers of misconceptions that we have. But it is religious, it is Buddhist. But you can be non-Buddhist, you don't have to believe in Buddha. All you have to believe in for this to work, your nature. This you have to believe it. At least trust it. You know, what can you lose? At one point somebody asked me, what will you do if you discover that there's no full awakening? Then I said, I will never discover it. Because as long as I haven't found it, I continue to look for it. So it's no problem. I will never, I hope, because I do trust that goodness in me, which has nothing to do with intellect and all these kind of things. And I do trust I can bring it up with like newness and things like that. And I feel it works. But only if I do many. If you only do one, then not much is happening. Yeah, so you need to persevere, like perseverance on the spiritual path to really attain what we want to attain, to fulfill that longing that we all have to be good, to be peaceful, to be spacious. We all have that longing. It's our nature calling us, saying, hey, you could have it in a much better way. The problem is we're looking in the wrong place. Okay. So if you look, then where we suspect an individual essence, all we find is open awareness, if you really look for it. Yeah, not just here. Sitting down, trying to find this I. And if we come to, well, if we're not able to go to arrogance and jealousy, we'll have to do another formal course. Because I'm still with the pause, right? Yeah, where we suspect. So if you start to hear about it and then you start to train mental calmness a little bit with breath and this and that, and then you hear the teachings and you hear the methods, how to look for it, and you can do these meditations. So where we suspect or think that there's an individual essence, all we find is open awareness. Yeah, and that's very pleasant, but then again, we cling to it. Or we get frightened. Then that's a very good sign. When we start to, I'm losing myself. If you're borderline and you don't know who you are, this is not it. These experiences come from a trained mind. They don't come because you're even more confused than the ordinary confused ones, which is us. Okay. So then open awareness, and everybody has this open awareness. So my open awareness is not different from anybody's open awareness. So we don't have to defend this stream of awareness because it's not vulnerable. It cannot be hurt. The only thing that can be hurt is me, they didn't respect me, this and that. So again, feeling bad about this is okay because you can prove it, but feeling bad about something that's just getting on your nerves is worse. So the territory of the seeming I is in reality a karmic energy field without an owner. So if your ego rebels, hey, you're just a karmic energy field here, dynamic, changing all the time. Stop complaining. To identify with it is lacking awareness. To understand that there is nothing to defend is wisdom. But until I get there, I tell you, okay, I don't say it, the defense. But very often it comes off, just like that. My speech is so fast. So I'm talking about myself, so that doesn't make you worse or better people. You have to look at yourself, the defense that when somebody is attacking us opinions. Fia said, how do you feel this last 2 years in Israel? I said, I stopped having opinions because whomever I talk to is wrong anyway, so it's okay. And if I have an opinion, it doesn't change the situation. I'm not hard. I don't think I'm heartless. I do care. I do think it's bad. I do think it's very sad on top of it. But I also have to say, you were in these 2 years definitely much more unhappy, much more not at ease and all this. But before that, you were not that much happier. And everybody thought once the hostages are back, now they're back. Are you that much happier? Many people say yes, but I'm not so sure. Again, you have to find out yourself. Right. Okay, so that's the misconception that we have mistaken something for real, holding on to, and now we come to these other, because anger and clinging we have done 2 years ago. So do you remember how he presents this kind of thing? So he describes the emotion, then he talks about 3 keys, kind of what we can use, and then he talks about 5 steps. First, to pause, then to use an antidote, then to try to put having another perspective, then to allow the emotion to show its nature, which is impermanence, and then 5th step, that's when it becomes interesting, when you're good. So that's if you ski, that would be the black slope. You expose yourself to situations where you would feel jealous and you would feel hurt, so that you can train. Because you see, arrogance, jealousy, anger, miserliness, all these other things, they will come as long as we hold on to this inherent existence. That they will come. Because why do we have these emotions even though we don't want them? Why?
Don't you choose to.
Why? Why does a flower grow in your garden?
Because of the seeds.
Because there was a seed. What does the seed need to grow?
Condition.
The condition it causes the
it's not
seed,
cause-
sorry. Conditions, warmth and moisture. Okay, so we can shut ourselves off and not wanting to see anybody anymore. These seeds of anger, frustration, all these kinds of things, they have very little chance to ripen. But the moment we come out again, poof, has it ever happened to you? You went to a meditation retreat and you felt very peaceful and very open. And then you come home and you have children. It's a big balagan, like pizza lying around everywhere and cans of Coca-Cola or, whatever. And you get upset, you close up. And whom do you blame? Your children. Or your partner, or your how do they call it? The people who live with you, if you have a
Partner.
not necessarily partner, but if you share an apartment. So then we blame them. Then,
Shouldn't we?
huh?
Shouldn't we blame them?
Yeah, so then we have to really see it's not them who is destroying me, it's my expectations. If you go for a meditation retreat and you leave your teenage kids alone, before you go, tell them you can do whatever you want. Then you won't be surprised if everything is in a big mess and this and that. If you trust your children, then you know that they will not do things that are too stupid. Of course, if you don't trust them, you cannot tell them that. Yeah. So like that. So this is it. So then we have these imprints, and then the conditions is when the seed, and the seed comes from, they haven't been planted by somebody, creator, God, or the Buddha, or whatever. Say, okay, I give them these seeds so they can grow. I mean, what kind of compassionate, kind of would that be? No, that we, with our previous actions, when the emotion, and now I'm talking about negative emotions, when that is not solved, like you drive, or you see something or somebody, and you get you get a moment of frustration. If you do not work with it, if you don't dissolve it, as long as it's there, it will go back into the subconsciousness and it will become a habit and a tendency. We all know people that whatever they see is negative. You try to give them a different reality, which is also not real. You try to tell them the positive side. They feel disrespected. You don't understand. Of course you don't understand, because you're not looking through their lens of their mind. So how can you ever understand somebody else? You cannot. So but if we bring them up on purpose, but for that you have to be realized. Otherwise you realized, oh, it's such a big word, isn't it? What does it mean, realized? I was a pretty realized skier. I could stand on my skis and it would just go woof, 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 like that. Not anymore now. I would probably break a leg after 5 minutes because balance is gone and I won't do it since I became a nun. And I'm very happy I became a nun. I don't have to, after years of looking at skiers and wanting to go skiing, because a nun doesn't go skiing, you have better things to do than ski. It's like, now it's okay. I look at them, I rejoice, they're very good. And then, but I still need to see the negative side of it. Many people to wait at the ski lifts, very, very expensive. You know, these ski boots that we used to have, I used to have no more skin here because we went skiing so much. They're very high and they take away the skin. The pain didn't matter because of the pleasure of skiing. It's like, really, Kaka. I mean, sorry, but it's a whole industry in Switzerland. I think surfing is not so painful, or is it also painful? Yeah, maybe. So I don't know. I never surfed waves. So like this. So I still need to see the negative side to be okay. So I'm not quite there yet. Yeah, but I can also rejoice with the people that go skiing and they have a really good time. So these are the 5 steps, okay? So what you want to look at first, we still have like 15 minutes, and then we make a break, and then maybe we continue, because we did quite long meditation this morning already. Or maybe we start looking at arrogance, and then we do a short meditation after the break on this, hopefully short, yeah? So arrogance there's a very, very fine line between arrogance and healthy self-confidence. So I have to be very careful, because healthy self-confidence is really, really needed to become a Buddha. Because otherwise, how can you become Buddha when you don't believe in the purity of your mind? How can you feel guilty all the time when you do something wrong and this and that, I mean, seeing the mistakes that you're making, seeing the negative emotions in your mind, you should be happy, because at least you see it. Yeah. So we have very good intentions, and we're training to be able to lift these good intentions. But at the moment, the good intentions are like this, and my behavior is like this. So by practicing, I slowly, until what I really want and the behavior becomes one. After the newness, I was in such a bad mood. You're supposed to feel good after doing something. I was grumpy, and so I said, this is the last time I'm not doing this anymore. Isn't it? Yeah.
But you come again.
Yeah, right. But I needed to calm down first. I was shocked. I was shocked to see that state of mind after meditating on Chenrezig for 1 full month. And usually I feel great, wow, I could fly after so many afternoons. Usually I was really shocked. And I thought the best protection is not coming here anymore, not doing this. And then I had to calm down. And I thought, hey, come on, that's the best way to deal with this and see what happens next year. So I phoned Henri, as it used to really still want to take the chance of having this grumpy nun in your apartment for 1 whole month. She said, yeah, of course, because I didn't really feel it. So I thought, hey. But anyway, I think she's very kind. So, yeah, so then this will still do. But so this is it, I mean, we can run away from it and avoid the people. But if you feel that I can prepare now a whole year of seeing how it started, where it started, that I wanted things my way, this and that, and starting to prepare for it and then see how it goes. And also talk about it while it is there. This is so important. Not afterwards. Afterwards, it's too late. Yeah. I used to be able to do that when I was in my menopause. I had also these grumpy states of mind. I would go down to the office in Tushita and say, hey, today I'm really in a bad mood. And I meant it, and it was true. So please don't ask anything from me that doesn't need to be done today. Just leave me alone. And then we all burst out laughing. It was less heavy. Yeah. And they knew, they were warned. So, but it doesn't mean I warned them and then I can do whatever I want. You need to have this wish not to harm the other person with this grumpy mood. But you also need to have the compassion to look at your grumpy mood without judging yourself and without beating yourself up. And then, as I'm saying, it's very difficult. And then you need to find out what will help at that moment. Distance sometimes is also needed, Also, when I after maybe 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years, I can't remember, of Tushita, I was very angry as the director, because I thought I was the only one who was kind of taking care of people when they freaked out, and it was true also, yeah. And I got really angry, and so I went to see my teacher, Kitsentra Rinpoche, and said, Rinpoche, something's wrong with me. I've been practicing so many years. And now this person, I just think about the person, he's there. I cannot have 1 inch of kindness towards him. Whatever he wants to do, in my mind, no. Yeah, it's like, and Rinpoche started laughing. And he said, well, what do you think? It takes lifetimes, even with Tantra, by the way, okay? Tantra is called the quick vehicle, but it's called quick in comparison to the kind of paramita vehicle, yeah, which takes eons. Then Tantra can take a few lifetimes. It's not 1 month or 3 years. It's more than 1 lifetime. So be careful when you think, oh, it's not working, I give up. Yeah, so perseverance is needed just about everywhere. And we do have time. So Rinpoche told me, next time you get angry, just leave, just go. You read this in the texts of Lam Rim, which I heard again and again and again and again, but I didn't understand myself that this is the antidote. The first antidote for anger is you go away from the object if you can. So Rinpoche said, next time you get angry, just leave. And then I went towards the chai shop. I wasn't even at the chai shop. And I thought, yes, I'm going to move out of here because this is not working. So usually I have to ask my teacher, to move away from a meditation kind of center. But I was so sure that he was right that I went out to the library. I booked a room, which usually they have a waiting list of 2 months or even more, but they had 1 room. I moved it and I thought, oh, I should have asked Kitsentra Rinpoche if it's okay to move out. And I went to see him and I said, Rinpoche, sorry, I didn't ask, but I'm already living down at the library. He burst out laughing again and he said, better for you and better for the others. 2 years or 1 year later, I moved back in. I could only work with that anger in the distance. And what I saw, I really liked Tushita. So the disadvantage that I saw in my anger, which was only disadvantage, was very small against being in the community, always having somebody there to teach, not having to cook. That was a big one, not having to go shopping, the food was done, all this. I moved back in very happily. So the not coming back next year was maybe 2 days or something. And then I thought, hey, come on. So we'll try again if it's okay for you guys.
Yes.
And then you can also say, hey, if I behave in a kind of little bit, then just remember what you said in Monas. You want to try, you want to train. Okay, now is the occasion. It's okay. Can we make that agreement? Okay. Okay, so the fine line between our self-confidence and lacking awareness, and arrogance or pride. I don't call it pride, okay? Because pride can be a good thing. If you are proud of what you're doing without having to compare it with somebody else, that's a good thing. If you're happy about what you do, that's necessary on the path. So even seeing your negative emotions, you can be proud about seeing them without having being totally destroyed and wanting to continue to work with it. It's a good thing, you know. If somebody accuses you of being angry, jealous, it's okay just to be honest, say, yes, I know, but I also suffer from it. Because we all suffer from it. So when we understand our own suffering from negative emotions and how difficult it is to transform them, maybe we have less expectations of others, that they should always be in a good mood, always be kind to me, always do whatever I wanted them to do, even though I don't say, because it's totally unrealistic, and things like that. Okay? We're all the same. We suffer not only in the future from our karmic actions, but we suffer in the present when these, anger, desire, attachment. Yeah, arrogance can feel good, but arrogance is very dangerous because the moment somebody comes who is better than you, the flip side, which is jealousy, they go together. And I have so many moments of arrogance, not so much anymore, but I catch them. When somebody calls with a problem. I used to be, not so much anymore, very quick with my mind to find a solution. I used to have a restaurant for many years. You learn to be quick, you have to react now, And so, we can do this, and this. And then just, wow, look, it was Buddhist group. They didn't write the answer. I wrote it. And I thought, okay, This also is arrogance. When you think that, wow, I'm so great, because others didn't find the answer in this, and it creeps in very, 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 very quickly. Yeah. So usually, I read through what he says, So it can sound to you a little bit exaggerated. And also, I forgot to say, when we talk about these things, maybe we make a break and then we continue. When we talk about these things, this is directed for me to hear, not what others do. When they say, when we study karma, it's to use as a mirror, not as a window to look out what others do. But very often we use the misbehavior of other people to feel ourselves better by, excusing ourselves for this. My negativities are not so big. They're still big. I mean, you will experience we will experience the karmic results. If everybody around me is very good, very patient, very kind, and in that moment I do negative actions, it doesn't make the negative action better because everybody else is kind. If I act in a kind way and everybody around me is negative, doesn't make my kind action smaller because everybody is negative. But also it doesn't make my negative action smaller because other people are more negative. So be careful. So try to use it for yourself, because happiness, being at ease, being spacious, you can only create your own. We can maybe show others, we can inspire others, if we're Buddhists, we can guide others, teach others. But the moment we understand how difficult it is to transform negative states of mind, I think we'll have more, maybe, hopefully more understanding for other people. That it's not a matter of, I want to be good, I want to be not angry. That doesn't work, because these imprints, the tendencies are very, very strong, and there's so many imprints. Okay? Okay, so we make 20 minutes break? Yeah. And then we meet again, and then we continue with arrogance, and then in the afternoon we look at, thank you. We look at jealous. I think it's better if you do it, then we show that this is right.